Okay, here we are. Cat kit, the next one. Starting on the spot with color B, which is the brown color. So normally when it has us do chain 2 and 6 single crochet in the second chain from the hook, I do a magic circle. I'm still going to, but I'm going to show why I do that. So we're going to chain 2. I'm going to make a slip knot. I'm just going to bring my yarn around my thumb, take my working yarn through the loop, pull the tail down, and then I'm going to chain 2. So 1, 2, this is the first chain from my hook, this is the second chain from my hook. We're going to do 6 single crochet into the second chain from my hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, nope, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so when you do this method, you get a hole in the center, and I don't like it. So I'm going to take that out and I'm going to do a magic circle. Bring my yarn over my finger, wrap the tail around, I hold onto that tail, I go under the tail, grab the working yarn, bring it under, pinch with my right hand the ring and the tail, then I switch that to my left, chain 1 to secure, and now I'll work 6 single crochet into the ring. So 2, 4, 6. I'm going to tighten this up. This size hook is what was in the last kit as well, and I really don't like this hook as much. It's like flimsy and it flexes a lot in my hand. Not a huge fan. So now we are going to, without joining, because it doesn't say to join, we're going to do 2 single crochet in each stitch around. So I'm going to start in this stitch and do 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 stitches in this row. I'm going to grab a stitch marker so we know where the beginning of our row is. So I'm just going to slide it under here. I'm going to do 1 single crochet and then put my stitch marker in. And then in that same stitch, working under the same loops, I'm going to do another. And then 2 in each other stitch around for a total of 12. Okay, let's double, no, don't want to do that. Let's double check our count. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Alrighty. Now we're gonna have another increase row, but in this one we're gonna just do 1 single crochet in the next 3 single crochet. So 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochet in the next, and we're gonna do that around. So here is my first single crochet right here. No. So 1. Then working into this one, our next one. 2, 3, and then 1, 2 in this one. And this one does also specify that this facing us is our right side. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. And now our last rounds in this one is just 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Which is pretty simple. Now this is wanting to curl somewhat, but it's primarily this is wanting to curl a little bit like I was saying, but it's primarily kind of staying flat. We'll be sewing it to the head, so it will want a little bit of a, kind of like how it has this curve, it'll go along the, you know, hopefully curve along the head that way. And the eye, I believe, goes through it, so that'll pin the center down. Okay, so fasten off, leave a tail for sewing. Dun, 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 dun. Scissors. Just kind of guesstimate how much yarn we need. That seems fine. Okay. Now I'm going to secure this end. Tie it down and weave some of the end in, and then I believe I'll just trim this because we don't want it really sticking out. Okay, so trim that, and then there is our spot piece done. Okay, so just for fun, we are going to go ahead and do the part where we sew on the spot and put the eyes in now, and maybe the face if I feel up to it. So for this, I am just folding this in half, basically, the head, and letting it curve so that I can place things better and see how they're going to go. So it just says to use the photo as a guide and sew the spot in place. It's up here on the upper left. So I'm thinking about here and trying to place it and look at things is just a little easier with it folded like this rather than with it open and just kind of trying to gauge, you know, anything like this. So we're gonna thread this and place it here, and then I'm just gonna get a finger inside here and sort of hold it there. So we want it up near the top, near the side, but with a little bit of space. And so we're gonna try here. So I'm just gonna be going in under the 2 loops of the stitch, and then I'm gonna be trying to come out under the loops of the next stitch and using my finger inside, both to keep me from going all the way through both sides and to help me get my needle back out. So I'm just catching the tip on the inside with my finger and using it to check and see if I'm getting it under the white as well. Why does it look like I have a little tail there? It's just a little clump, I guess. Give it a haircut. So I have my finger right under this white right here. So now the needle's pushing into my finger. And then I'm using it to push it back up through. So I will finish this around and be back. Okay, so I'm back at the beginning, and it looks like I sewed this with the edges too close to each other, because you can see that it bumped up. So I'm just going to take this out, do the same thing again, but try to make it a little flatter. This is how I take out my stitches when I'm doing this. I just get my needle in here, get it under the yarn, and pull it out like that. Actually, now that I'm doing this, I'm realizing I don't probably have to take the whole thing out all the way around, just literally half of it, and then flatten it out some and keep going. Let me see, do we think that's far enough? Yeah, that might be far enough. Okay. So I guess we'll just start again from here. Okay, so I'm looking at this closely, and it looks like they sewed this so that the edge was actually kind of free. And I'm wondering if that would look infinitely better. So I'm gonna redo this sewing with the edge free and see where I get. So I'm gonna take this out and re-sew it, and then I'll sew it the same way I sewed it the first time, just a stitch further, and I'll probably do a demonstration once I get started. But I'm gonna get this all taken out and then come back. Okay, so here we go. I may have moved it up a little, I'm not even sure at this point, although that's kind of mostly, I think, style. But so I'm going to, because it looks like that this edge is free to kind of curl like it is now. So instead of going up and down through here, I'm actually just I'm gonna back up a row, and I'm gonna do the same thing, just a row back. So in through both layers of the fabric, and then using that other hand to help me force that through. And let's see, we'll go in here. And then okay, so I'm just going to continue doing this around. And again, so you can just insert, and then you can just kind of peel that up and just come out under that stitch like this. And then you can just see where that kind of lines up with what you're doing, and then just come through that spot like that, instead of doing it all at once. So you can come in through, nope, not like that, come in through, and then just come out next to it, and then up like that. I'll do a couple more. So in, and then just coming out over from where you came in a little bit, and then coming up from there. I might as well just finish out because we're almost to the end now. Okay, I actually am thinking, at least thus far, that this is looking a little better. A little more like the box. Okay. How many more do we have left? All right, I'll be back after I finish these. Okay, so there we go. I do think that looks a little more, I don't know, natural. So we're gonna go in here, which is about, here's our center row. So this is a row, this is a row. We're gonna go in between the start of our second row and our third row here, and just get that in there, making sure it doesn't catch the stitches in the back, and pull the thread. Now does that look low enough? Because in that it looks pretty low, right? I guess it doesn't really matter. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like we'll go in the with the other one about here. Right, those are the 2 rows you're between. Let me make sure I know where my top is. There's a lot of fiddly bits. Okay, so I think we're on this level. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right about here. No idea if that was the same place I just said or not, or if I moved up a row. Okay. Now what do we think? We think that that looks okay. So now, the other part of putting these in is just adding the backs, and that is easy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put my finger on this eye and use it to push it and guide it over to this area so I can see it. Make sure we can see that end. Then you just take the little piece that came with it and you put it on, you press it onto the end. Now, okay, hold on. So I've just noticed that these aren't the same depth and size on mine. I don't know if you can tell. I would assume that that is because when you go through 2 layers of crochet like this eye is, you have a shallower edge to work with. So I'm thinking that that is what this one is for, and that the other one is for this one that has, let me show you, way more of the post available. So this one will definitely be harder to get the thing onto because you have less available. So I'm guessing that's why they have a shallower one and a less shallow one. So you just lay it on, it goes on so that it's sitting like this from the inside, and just press firmly, and it'll catch those little ridges and won't be able to be pulled out. So this one will go, so I'm holding the eye with my 2 fingers on this end, and then with my 2 thumbs pressing down. There we go. It takes quite a bit of force. Okay, so, and once you do these, it is rather difficult and maybe not possible to get them back off. I have done it, I think, before, but then you're weakening the thing, and it just, like the little ridges that keep it on. Once you get them in there and get the ends on, they're really meant to stay in. That's kind of their purpose, safety eyes, so children can't pull them out. So now, I suppose, I guess we'll do face stuff. We got this mouth in the middle, which looks like it's 1 stitch this way, and then you know, coming up through and going that way to give it the shape. And this looks like it's about 1.5 rows under that. So this shouldn't be too hard, hopefully. We'll see how this turns out. I'm not great at these. But after this, we can stuff the head and get a look at what it looks like. So I'm gonna do whiskers and then mouth and then whiskers all at once. And to do that, I'm gonna go in and pull basically almost all of this back out. So it looks like the whiskers go over about 3 stitches. So like that one's kind of a half and a row under. So maybe about from like here to here for this first one. So we're gonna come in from the back. Let's see. I kind of want to go in between the rows, but that's harder to do with the blunt needles because this one is kind of really on the bottom of the row. So I'm thinking maybe I'll err on the side of 2 rows rather than 1. Okay, let's do that, I guess. So we're gonna pull. I'm gonna put my finger here to stop the edge when I get to the end of the length. And then just about 1, 2, 3 stitches over, I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna, let's see how many it looks down. It looks like they're basically 3 rows apart. So I'm gonna bring my needle and bring it out in kind of the same position 3 rows down, basically. Still holding the end of the thread that's inside the head down with my finger so that it can't be pulled all the way through. And then at the center, they are about 1.5 rows less rows apart. So we're gonna bring this back up and over and come in, I guess, right here. Now, before we come out, it looks like this is about 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 3 stitches over. Does that look like we got enough? Let me see. Oh hey, the end fell off my needle. That's kind of rude. Get back on there. Okay. So this is kind of a little above this first one. So we're gonna be in this row and we're gonna try coming out right here, which is about 3 stitches over a row up. And I don't really need to keep holding that inside now that I've got a couple stitches in. So now, let's see what we got here. We have 3 stitches to the eye on this side. And then this looks like it covers a couple stitches. So I think, and then we'll have about 3 on this side. I think we're gonna be lined up okay. Probably not, I'll probably have to redo this. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down. So let's see, that's 2.5 rows basically. I'm gonna come down and I'm going to come in 1.5 stitches over basically. So down 1, 2, and then one stitch over, and then down, and then in about here, let's say. Okay, so then I'm gonna come out above, centered above this stitch, about 1.5 stitches. So like right in here somewhere, I'm gonna come out. And then as I am, hey, unstick yourself. as I am tightening this down, I'm gonna untangle my tail. I will loop under this, and then I'm going to go back in the same line of where I came out for this stitch, a couple stitches down from center. So let's see, we think about here, so we got about here, I think, a couple stitches down. And this time I'm just going to pull it all the way and take a look. Okay, now it's hard to tell without the fluff, but that doesn't look too bad right now. So now our goal is to try to make the other whiskers kind of on the same line. So we're in this line where we came out on this one, under this row. And so I'm going to come out, I think, right here. We're going to work back this way again. I think, let's see. We have about 1, 2, 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think that's good. So we're going to come out there. And then about 1, 2, 3 down. We're going to go back in. And then again, we're going to come out. What did we do? We did 1, 2, about 3 rows down. Oh, wait, no. We're on the inside. So about 2 rows down of a sort. Yeah, that should do. It looks like a bunny rabbit, right? This just looks like a bunny rabbit. This is fine. And then cross down 1 row and do about 3 stitches over. So down 1 row, about 1, 2, 3, going over here. See how this looks. All in favor of bunny rabbit? Say aye. Okay, no, not bad, right? That's like not bad. It's hard to tell without there being stuffing, but I think that looks okay. Okay. So now we will just, should we tie this end off or should we not tie it off yet? Because if I put the stuffing in it and I hate how it looks, I'm going to take it off. We're going to tie it off. We're going to tie it off and it's going to be absolutely fine. Now, when doing this with a black thread against a white thread, you have to be really careful that it doesn't show through. Okay, this time I need the tail to be through it. Okay. So I'm just going to tie this and then really carefully so that it hopefully doesn't show through. I'm just going to weave through a couple stitches and then probably tie it again because I double knot my shoelaces. Okay, that should be decent. Okay, so we're gonna trim this. And haven't made the ears yet, so the head won't quite be complete. But now, after you add these, it says in the directions to stuff the head. So we will go ahead and put some stuffing in here as soon as I figure out where it is. I'll be back. I found my stuffing. It was in the box still. Okay, so we're gonna pull some of this out. And then we are gonna fluff it and separate it a little. Okay, and then we're just gonna take little pieces at a time. And stuff them in here. This is kind of a small opening to be doing this with, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep doing like this until I think it's stuffed well enough, and I'll be back. So at this point, this is basically holding its shape, but there is a little bit of excess still, I think, that could be filled a little fuller. Some of how much you fill something is up to your preference. Sometimes if it needs to stand or something, it needs to be to a certain strength, or when it's supporting the neck. I would prefer this to be a little bit more stuff, but I think at this point you could leave it like this and that would be fine, but I'm gonna stuff it a little bit more and I'll be back. Okay, so I think that's pretty good for now. I used about, I think, over half of this, and there's another one for the body because we still have body and the feet, and the body looks, it's a little bigger than the head. So here is the head. I actually think I'm happy with the face, which may be a first. And that's gonna be it for right now. I might, before I upload this, I might another day record some more and add it, but as for right now, here is the head and here is the face, and she's kind of cute, and you know, see you next time.